another interview where she explosively claims members of the press called her children by the N-word. She also claims when she married Harry, she was told people rejoiced in the streets, like when Mandela was released from prison. Clickbait it may be, but it's beginning to reveal something quite troubling, that this woman appears to have extremely deep-rooted issues. Whatever next? Well, royal commentator Caroline Aston joins me now to discuss this further. Caroline, I mean, it seems to me, you know, just reading some of the headlines, not just in Britain, but around the world off the back of this interview, that she might have pushed it a bit too far and the tide is turning and that the stock of Harry and Meghan could well start to plummet. Can we look forward to that, do you think?
Well, I think the timing of this is absolutely crucial because, of course, we're on the very eve of course, the anniversary of Princess Diana's tragic death. And I think that's no accident. I think that you can only squeeze so much lemon juice out of the lemon of publicity. And, of course, that really is the oxygen, the raison d'etre of both the Sussexes. So I think there will be a diminuendo. And I think by now it's fairly obvious they've given up on the British market for their brand. And most of what they're doing is aimed very firmly at the Americans, who I'm sure are both diverted by this. And perhaps if anyone listening to this has South African heritage, will be angered by the comparison of the marriage of Meghan and her prince to Nelson Mandela's release from Robben Island, 27 years in appalling conditions, that great beacon of democracy, integrity, courage. And Meghan apparently was told there was dancing in the streets of a similar kind when she married her prince. I think she will come to eat those words.
What is going on here? She also said sort of menacingly that she hasn't had to decide a non-disclosure. Right now, she's still healing, so she's not ready to talk. I mean, she's doing a lot of talking, isn't she? But is there something wrong with this woman? I mean, I'm going to put it bluntly. Is there something wrong with her?
You mean, is she narcissistic? Has she really got this idea of victimhood so firmly into her mind that it's beginning to affect her every doing and utterance? I think you're right. Maybe some counselling is required here because this is becoming so vituperative. This is a war of attrition. Neither side can win. You have two brothers who I'm sure the late Princess Diana would have hated to see at odds with each other like this, who are now deeply divided with, I think, little hope of a mending of the rift between them if this goes on. Maybe Harry and his wife should sit down and talk a little bit more, and certainly have a talk with their publicists who appear to be orchestrating a campaign that is aimed at yet more and more publicity in the run-up, of course, to Harry's tell-all memoir, about which the press has gone rather quiet at the moment as we wait for the next revelations. Certainly, Meghan Markle has become a sword of Damocles hanging over the head of the royal family. And yes, they too will be looking over their shoulders at what the next sortie in this battle of words will be.
I mean, with everything that comes out, especially, you know, Meghan saying that Prince Harry has lost his father and Charles, although that's sort of somehow being disputed, that she might not have meant that. This is really good. It's burning bridges, isn't it, for Harry? So let's play this forward. I mean, cast your mind to in 10 years' time. Are Harry and Meghan still going to be happily married in Montecito, or do you think there'll be some deep regrets coming from Harry?
I think probably he feels a degree of regret now, but he's so caught up in this new lifestyle. But for how long will this be satisfying? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And of course, one of the reasons I think all this is happening now is because the big giants, Spotify, Netflix, who've offered these two vast sums of money so far, have had very little return for the investment. So now the pressure's being ramped up. The Netflix documentary about their love story is being prepared. And yes, the Sussexes will go forward and attempt to justify the vast sums of money being spent on them. Myself, I think they're a one-trick pony. You can only exploit these tales of victimhood, of betrayal, of being hurt by life in the royal family. But for a couple who left these shores to find freedom and security and privacy, they seem to be making an awful lot of noise to keep the public spotlight on themselves. But I think this will fade as more and more people become disenchanted and, to be honest with you, fairly fed up with the whole thing.